So today is March 31st, 2021, and I just wanted to check in, and I just wanted to get some things off my heart. Sometimes I find myself talking into recording devices, and video cameras seem to get more able to get more off your chest. It's hard to talk to people. People shut you down. It's like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. People don't want to talk about it unless they know about it or it's in their little comfort zone. And it's brutal, man. I was at Christmas. I was talking to my brother-in-law, my favorite brother-in-law, and we were chatting at the other table. And my mom goes, "What are you guys talking about over there?" And I was like, "Oh, we're talking about Agenda 21." I was trying to share with my brother-in-law that, don't get caught up. You can get up. Don't get caught up into the good dogs. Relax. Don't get caught up into the left-right paradigm of the Republicans and Democrats, and one's fighting for the other, and or one's fighting for the people and one's not, or whatever. That is political staging. That's theater. That goes so far back in our history, and it's dude, it's all to think that you have a choice, that you have a voice, that they're fighting for you and they're on your side. And the gig is the big wigs put it in and say, this is what we're passing. And one will say, oh, this is what they're trying to pass. We got to fight against it. And you get out and you rally and you protest. Well, they're going to slip it through anyway. That's all a distraction. That's all to suck your energy, to suck your time, so you don't look behind the curtain. And man, I was just trying to tell my brother-in-law, dude, it ain't about Republicans or Democrats. They're all crooked. They're all bought off by corporations, and it's all, NGOs and think tanks and banking cabals, and go into the whole Roman Catholic, whatever you want to call it. And those people behind the scenes, it's not even like they want to throw Soros and Rockefeller and Rothschilds in your face. Dude, that's who they want you to see. It goes so much deeper than that. There's families. It's so much deeper. And I'm just trying to encourage people. Anyway, so I turn around to my mom and I say, oh, Agenda 21. And she turns around and says to her friends, oh, he finally found someone to listen to him. And I'm like, shit, okay. Thanks, Mom. Sorry to bother you with reality. Don't want to destroy your little comfort zone. But anyway, so I'm feeling so much emotions and so many things that are just, dude, stirring inside. And you want to jump on a mountaintop and you want to say, hey, folks, wake up, But they're believing what that TV's telling them, and everything's fine in the world. We're going to figure this out. We're going to double mask up, and we're going to stay 6 feet apart, and we're going to get this injection, and everything will be fine. And I feel so, oh my gosh, I'm worried for us because we're doing this to ourselves. I mean, anybody that's still in fear of getting the bug, that has a 98% recovery rate, and you're driving around in your car with the mask, you're doing this to us. Even though you might be a few, you're doing to this. You're going along with the program. You're funding the gig. You're backing it. You're saying, hey, this is it. Look at me. I got my shot. This isn't a medical thing. I talk to nurses. This isn't a medical thing. This is a genetic injection that creates a protein that your system kicks out antibodies to fight, which once that protein's done doing what it's doing, where does that go? What happens to that? Those little chemicals, those little nanoparticles, those little devices, machines that they put in you. And it's like, I've dropped some red pills with some people as far as um the whole event 201, the global pandemic exercise in 2019. And it was put on by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, John Hopkins um, Society, or whatever you want to call it, and the World Economic Forum. And they did a global exercise, and it's a 5-hour series, and it's still on the web. You can find it. You can find it on the. It has its own website, and in there they went over everything that we're doing right now to the T. One of the big things that stuck out to me is when they started talking about, well, when this starts happening, we're going to have to we're going to have to deal with some disinformation, and you know and lies about what is going on, and it's like, now it's like the disinformation is the truth. Look what they're doing to us. They knew what they were doing. And I mean, you can go further back than that. The Rockefeller document, the future of what is it, scenarios for future technologies and international development. And that was a white paper, and it has these 4 scenarios in it. The first one was called Lockstep. You can find that on page 18. And Lockstep tells us pretty much what we're going through. It talks about a global pandemic. It talks about it came from geese, though. And then it says that China dealt with it better. And it goes through a few scenarios. But when it was written, the actual event happened 2 years later. It was supposed to take place in 2012, which it never did. And so it tells you that, there's going to be resistance, and then there's going to be these lockdowns, and, then the vaccine rollout, and all these things are like, dude, they're just tagging the sheep, folks. That's all that's going on. They're just tagging and identifying the sheep. It's all tied into ID 2020 and all the things they want to put in you and change you. And I mean, this goes back so far. I mean, all the warning signs were there. I mean, it's not like the first time they've put something in the movies or in The Simpsons or in some type of media device, games, video games, and like prophesied or predicted the future. I mean, it goes back to Orwell. It goes back to 1984. It goes back to Huxley's. It goes. There were all these social engineers that were like doing a somewhat simulation of a science fiction that's going to be in the future, but they were really predictively programming the sheep as far as how you are going to live. And we planted this in your brain, and when it does happen, you're, oh yeah, that's kind of supposed to happen. And you can go back there. There was the video game Resident Evil, and it had what you call a global pandemic breakout, and it broke out in New York, and all these different similarities. And then you can go to what was it? The Dead Zone had an episode, I believe, from the 90s, 80s, or 90s? I can't remember, but it deals with Corona, or excuse me, I believe it deals with COVID, and it used what was the medicine they were talking about at first, and then they kind of condemned it, um, hydrochloroquine or whatever. But he had a vision. Dude had a vision and said, "Oh, this is what's going to heal the pandemic." And da 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 da. And then Bill Gates even did something, that his movie called Pandemic. There's been movies called Outbreak. We've been programmed this whole time, and my understanding is that a virus is basically your body releasing all these antibodies to fight the infection that's beginning in your system. And it's not even like they're telling us it is. And even The Simpsons has days of stuff going on with the virus. Where else can you go? Movies, TV episodes. I mean, it's in our face, and it's sad, and it just breaks my heart that we're doing this to ourselves. It's like we're total Barney Fife in it. We are yeah, there might be half of us that have said, hey, wait a minute, this has been all predicted, it's all been planned. It's to bring in a bigger new agenda, stack and pack housing, get everybody out of out of the rural areas. You don't want us on the land. Probably China probably owns it anyway. And so, you can't do this in the state parks. You can't do that. Um, Everything's just, clamping down on us. And dude, they want you living in a little cubicle and jumping on your little moped, your electric moped, and going to work every day, and you work your 8 to 10, 12, and you drive right back home and you go to sleep and you get up and do it again. That's all they need you for. You know what I'm saying? That you don't need to be taking your boat out and burning carbon emissions in your jet skis, and not out on the lake and the water. You don't want to be out there hiking or nothing, going up in the trails and seeing the wildlife and plugging into nature. No, you don't need all that. Your job is a worker. You're a worker slave. And it's like the mentality of people that are accepting this. Now, I also know that part of this social programming or social engineering is they always they always control the opposition. COINTELPRO, they did it in Martin Luther King's days when he was doing his thing. They inserted people in his thing that were acting like they're good guys and fighting for King, but they were getting the lowdown on everything. What was it? 80 something cops around that place, supposedly protecting him or whatever. And one white gunman takes him out. They didn't see him. They didn't hear him. They didn't know what was going on. I mean, the whole, yeah, you could go into all kinds of things, but the problem is, is even like this, don't wear a mask or any kind of protest up against the lockdowns. Most of that is not homegrown. Most of that has been fed by three-letter agencies or whoever whoever's taken the orders down the ladder. But that is part of the plan too, to get you people to rise up, to get you to stand up. No, protest. We don't want this. And dude, everywhere you go, you're being your cameras everywhere. Facial recognition. You're being tracked. You're being traced. Every move you do, they want to know who the bad people are now, who the dissenters are in this situation, in this world. Hey, if you're not following and worshiping, falling down the stair, dude. If you're not worshiping, wait a minute. What? You know the thing. What was my line? Who? Where? Oh, what? There's kids. Yeah, let's go to the picnic. There's kids there. Sure. If you're not following that guy, obeying orders from the chief, you are a devil. You are a dissenter. You are a right-wing extremist, and you are trouble. Not you guys. You're good. You're good babies. So it's all being set up, and even all of these people that are being woke up to know that it's BS, to know that we should have a choice to say what we put in our bodies, and we see the bigger picture. We're not caught up in the little playing with the pawns, masturbating with the pawns. We know they're all puppets. We know there's bigger Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Cambridge Analytica, Tavistock Institute, even the John Birch Society. I mean, all these different huge Bilderbergs. I mean, it's just tied in. But like I say, all these things, there's bigger entities above that too. So they want you to fight the puppets. Heck yeah, they want you to stand and rally against the streets of protesting, this and that, and staying in this little teeny, kindergarten kickball game. They don't want you going up to the varsity leagues and playing football or rugby up there. No, we're not gonna let you go up there. We want you to stay in the little kindergarten kickball league, and yeah, you're gonna win. We're gonna give you ribbons and titles and stars. Yay! Everybody will be happy. This is another thing. The way that the whole election thing, if you can't see that was wrong, if you can't see you were screwed in the butt, I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know if you're an American. I don't know what you are. You're an order follower. You're asleep. And dude, and even in that, we have the COINTELPRO, like, controlled opposition. So what I see happen there, yeah, you see it was rigged. There was video showing people brought all these ballots in and people coming forth and whistleblower, hey, I seen this. Okay, okay, we know it was wrong. But the problem was that Sidney Powell comes out in her press conference in the beginning and says, not only is this happening in America, it's happened all over the world. And not only has this happened this year, it's been happening for a long time. And I know a guy that's an IT guy, and he said Dominion came in '84. The Clintons funded it, brought it in, opened the door, whatever. So it's been going on since '84. So you see what happens there now? Now we get Mr. Christian Mike Lindell to jump off on the platform and fight for this year's election was rigged. Wait a minute, Mike. Sidney Powell says it's been going on for a long time all over the world. Wake up, people. But no, what happens to Sidney Powell? Mr. T says, "Oh, she's not with us. She's not with our staff. She's an independent lawyer or attorney or whatever, and she's kind of doing her own thing. So we're going to kind of walk away from her. We're not going to jump on that bandstand of exposing it that has been going on all over the world for a long time. We don't want the people to know that. We don't want them to know that your presidents are selected, that they're not elected. They are selected. We don't want them to know that. And if you're curious about that, you need to look into Ralph Epperson. I believe Jordan Peterson. And there's one other fella. I think his name was Marvin. Man, I can't think of his name. Anyway, so you see what happens. It gets exposed. And even Giuliani was playing along at that press conference, playing the good cop bag. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this and we're gonna expose that. Well, you ain't nothing, Julie. You're in the system too, Mister Two Towers fall in my town, and a third one gets demolished behind it. We demolish it, we pull it, and then we take all the rubble and ship it off to China. Start it the next day. Yeah. Let's just hide the evidence. No. Nothing weird here. Buildings fell from being on a fire at the top, and then they fell straight down on each other. Yeah, that's nothing. No, we're good, miss. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I don't know what he's doing in the mix. And anyway, Sidney says the truth. But Mike Lindell now is jumping on the soapbox, and he's blinding the people by saying, it's just this year, and we got to fight for this year. Do you see that? You see what's happening? How tricky they are? He's a Christian man. Listen, folks, if you don't know it, we live in a wicked place. We live in a corrupt system. And I don't know if jumping in and trying to fix that system is the answer. I don't think the answer is here in this system. It's not recalling your governor. They'll get another puppet and a crook in there. Come on. How far you want to go back? You want to talk about Jerry Brown? You want to talk about in the 90s when there's a drought and the San Joaquin Valley is all the farmers are losing their homes, their businesses. Families are devastated. Families that have had the land for, hundreds of years, wiped out. There's a drought. But at that same time, all the water that's coming out of those mountains and into those dams, it's being released and sent straight out to the ocean year after year. And that San Joaquin Valley dries up and people move away. They go bankrupt. Thousands of farmers. And guess what Jerry Brown says? Hey, buddies. Hey, cronies. Hey, billionaire butt buddies. I know I can sell you some cheap land here in California. Pennies on the dollar. And these billionaires go in there and buy it up and start developments on it. What are they making? They're making them make you stack and pack houses. I mean, it just hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart that us as humans, us as humanity, we are doing this to ourselves. We are tightening the noose every day. And I see people rising up and they're forming militias and they're going to do that. And you know what, folks? You're still fighting in the system. You're still caught in the matrix. And I don't totally know what the answer is. I know what the answer is not, to be divided. And we are so divided. We are continually divided. Left, right, blue, black, white, everything, every color, every race, whatever can divide us, religion, race, financial status, all dividing us. So I think the first part of the answer is to say, hey, we need unity. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But I do know one thing, that we can free ourselves from this system. We can free ourselves from the lies. We can decide to step out of the game, quit playing the game, quit feeding it, quit funding it. I think that's a start. And I don't know, it just hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart that I see us doing this to ourselves. And if you say something or you speak out or you're not going with the plan, then you're a bad person. You're a bad guy. You know, you're a dissenter. You're a right-wing extremist. Whatever they want to call you. But don't play the game. That's all I can say, man. Don't play the game.